So
that's called
So that means that if that's considered an insult, that means they were very strict over here about Shemitah.
Mm-hmm.
You had to get him back. So it can't just be,
some insults we learn about.
Can't just say Sharabah. It's a good thing I didn't, I don't need, Weissmandel or something like you. That's an insult. You say, wait, what's wrong with that?
Could Rabbi Yehuda argue in the life of Rabbi Akiva, or only after he passes?
I don't think he was arguing. His city was different. His city, they were very careful.
He said that he's allowed to be chayav.
Not arguing.
But the Mechayev, he's allowed to be chayav, or he has to wait till
These two
after?
people
I have to
were
think
so
of an
careful.
example. I have to think of an example.
Very tough. But to say that he was chayav, Mechayev,
These people weren't careful. These people obviously, it's the
The
crazy.
fact that they can insult like this?
Yeah.
No, religious people do this. We're talking. There's two parts. There's between man and God. Then there's between man and man. That's a different story.
Religious people. So we're bringing proof from the guys in the.
Good fight.
They were arguing in shul.
No, not in shul.
Not in shul, outside the shul.
It's at a
The
Fabrengen.
Kiddush club. No Fabrengen for sure.
So it's no credence to these guys. We're just learning from the terminology.
Right.
Finally woke
What
up,
was serious.
coffee, and,
Right.
I need a little bit more coffee too. Just
Good.
and the movies.
Ikad Amri. Some say this a little different. That Amar Rabba Bar B'Chanan Rabbi Yechanan. Rabba Bar B'Chanan says the name of Rabbi Yechanan. That was the same pair that we had before. Zudiv Rabbi Akiva Stimta. These are the words of Rabbi Akiva. That's Stam. That's anonymous. Aval Chachamim Maimon Chashad Al Ma'aseh Chassid Al Shvius. But the Chachamim, the opposite here. The Chachamim say that if you suspect it on Meiser, then you suspect it on the other. We did it before. The opposite. Before we said Chashad Al Shvius, Chashad Al Ma'aseh. If you don't keep Shemitah, then you don't keep anything. Now we're doing the opposite. We're saying if you don't keep Meiser, then you don't keep anything. You don't keep Shemitah. Man Chachamim. So who is the Chachamim? Reb Meir. It's Reb Meir. The Amar. He says Chashad Davar Echad Avi Chashad L'Chol Torah Kula. Look, the Torah is a package. If there's any hole in anything here, then there's a hole in the whole thing.
It's all or none.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah. When you do tshuva, a person does tshuva. You don't do that. But that's
No. So let me explain. When a person does tshuva, he takes on one thing at a time. He accepts it all. 613. But he takes on one thing at a time because otherwise it doesn't work. Otherwise it doesn't work. But that doesn't mean that he accepts 612. He accepts 613. He says, but today I'm starting with tefillin. Tomorrow I'll do Shabbos. You know.
Is this a word from the Rabbi?
I think so.
Manyan.
I think I've seen that.
Manyan. It's interesting.
Rabbi Yomi, yeah, I've seen it. Now I'm recalling actually where I was reading it. Rabbi Yomi of Rabbi Yirmiyah, Talmidei Reb Zera. Okay, let's take a look if we have this here. We have a Rabbi Yomi.
Reb Zera or Reb Zeira?
Reb Zeira.
Reb Zeira. It's not the famous Reb Yirmiyah.
Where is Rabbi Yirmiyah?
Rabbi Yirmiyah is under Rabbi Vo here. The Rabbi Vo is right here, and the Moirei Eretz Yisrael in the center. He's right under Rabbi Vo.
Wasn't he
However,
a
I think
Talmud
there
of
was
Zera?
yes, he was a Talmud of Reb Zera.
Maybe
And
Zeira and Zeira is the same.
oh, you see, they have a chart over there that Rabbi Vo goes to Reb Zera, and then Reb Zera to Rabbi Yirmiyah. And Rabbi Yomi would be somewhere over. Oh, there's a Rabbi Yomi on this chart. This is good. Rabbi Yomi and Rabbi Yirmiyah. Straight under is Rabbi Yomi. Va'amrila, however, some say Rabbi Yomi and Reb Zera Talmidei Rabbi Yochanan. They leave out Rabbi Yirmiyah here and they say that it was actually a discussion between Rabbi Yomi and Reb Zera, who are students of Rabbi Yochanan. Now, over here they only link them back to Rabbi Vo, but they actually link back to Rabbi Yochanan there. Right? I guess Rabbi Yochanan passed away and they went to Rabbi Vo, that's why. Chadam, or whatever the case is, one of them said, Aval Chachamim Chashad Al Shviyas. However, the sages say that if you suspect it on Shemitah, then you don't keep anything, then Chashad Al Ma'aseh. Man Chachamim, and who's the Chachamim that are so strict about Shemitah? That's Rabbi Yehuda. The Chadam, and one of them said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, in the name of Reb Zeira, or in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, whichever one. that chashad ala shviyas, chashad ala ma'aser, chashad ala shviyas. If you don't keep ma'aser, then you don't keep anything. The man chachamim, and who would that be? That's Rabbi Meir. The Tanya Amar Shekibel of. Okay, let's go through this brisa slow. That was taught in the brisa. We know already what Rabbi Meir holds. That chashad ledavar echad is chashad l'chol ter kula. If you don't keep one thing, then we don't know about you. That we don't know.
So this is what chashud means.
Yeah.
Chashud means you do an avera in a different place, and based on that, we assume that you don't keep.
Yeah, then we don't know. Right.
So that's what chashud means in
I
here.
think so. Chashad ledavar means we caught him. We could. I think it means we caught him.
But not relevant to the specific.
According to Rabbi Meir, it doesn't have to be relevant because chashad ledavar echad. The Tanya, it was taught in a brisa. Amaretz shekibel of divrei chaveros. An amaretz, a regular, a person that's not a scholar, an ignorant person that doesn't keep the laws of Tumah and Tara. He was a regular land person, so he doesn't keep the laws of Tumah and Tara. He decides he wants to, so he accepts it on himself. V'nechshad l'davar echad, and then we suspect one thing that he's doing that he's not keeping. Nechshad l'chol. Oh, 1 second. There must be something in over here. Nechshad l'chol atera kula. Divrei Rabbi Meir. He's suspected for the entire Torah. So Rabbi Meir is very strict in this, that it's like one package. The Chachamim say nechshad alei sedavar bilvad. It's just one thing. The next case is very important. We have this a lot. A ger shekibel of divrei Torah. A ger that accepts on himself the words of Torah. Afilu nechshad ledavar echad. Even if he's suspected for one thing, havichashad l'chol Torah kula. He's suspected for the whole Torah. Now I have to go back and add a word in here because the way it was done was we said afilu nechshad ledavar echad. Even if he's suspected for one thing, then he's suspected to the whole. Okay, give me. Let's read a drop further, and I'll go back. Habahareyu ki Yisrael mumar. He's like a non-observant, a non-keeping Jew. He's a Jew that's
Convert.
that a mumar is converts. He's not keeping the Jewish religion. And nafkamina, what's the difference? The kaddish kedusha of kedushin. That if he marries a Jewish girl, it's kedushin. Now, let's go back and put this in because it says afilu nechshad ledavar. Even if he does one, he's still considered Jewish. That's funny. So the Shita Mekubetzes on the side in Dalet says Beger bilvad beger shekibel of divrei Torah v'nechshad ledavar echad va'afilu chashad l'chol Torah kula. It adds in that. Even if he doesn't keep the whole Torah, he's still considered Jewish.
I'll tell you a 60-second story. A family in the Dominican Republic moved from Venezuela, the Cohen family, and they came to the Shliach to do a bar mitzvah. A very wealthy family. They're a clan of 30 people, buildings. He very much wanted to do it. He found out that the wife was a convert, converted by this Beis Din in New York that was religious, supposedly Orthodox, but it's dissolved. They can't figure it out. So, but they're not keeping the mitzvahs or anything like that. He very much wanted to do it. He called Rabbi Leib Shapiro. He asked him, "What do I do? Could I accept that gerus and this and that?" Rabbi Leib told him, "Go and ask them if they ever kept one Shabbos halachically. That's all you need to ask. If they did, you could accept them. If they didn't, you can't."
If they once did it, even though now
one
they don't.
time, one Shabbos they kept
After the
halachically,
conversion, yeah.
After the conversion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So he went to her, the husband he asked them, "Did you keep Shabbos?" They said, "No, they never told us to keep Shabbos."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, he lost the whole clan. Irrelevant, but
Wow.
Just one
Islamic
Shabbos,
came
they
from
don't
here.
Saying
say
it's not a
free.
proper gerus. It's not a proper gerus. The children are going.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
They'd
That's
have
what
to
they,
redo.
That's what we would say
Beis
today.
Din never told them to even keep Shabbos.
That's what we would say today.
She said, if the Beis Din would have told us to keep
If you
one
go back-
Shabbos, we would have done it.
If you go back to the Talmudic,
They took
if you go back to the Talmudic rulings, though, you would end up having to go much more into this because there is such a thing where he accepts on himself the Torah, but he just doesn't know what the Torah is. And so he said, I didn't know, if I didn't know Shabbos, I was ready to keep
Like
anything
Nasiv and Ishma?
like Nasiv and Ishma, then it could be different. But today, that would be the ruling. So what do you mean, a Jew and Shabbos?
So
That's
you
what
gotta
we
start
know, a
all
Jew is
over
Shabbos.
You gotta start the
Start
whole
over, yeah.
process.
I don't understand what's it trying to add by saying Hager shekibel alav divrei Torah. He didn't accept all the Torah. He's not a ger.
No, Shekibel of the Torah, he accepted the Torah. We know that he's a good guy. But then we see that he's not keeping one thing, and even if he's not keeping anything. So, if he's not keeping one thing, he suspects that he doesn't keep anything, and if he's not keeping everything, nevertheless, he's still considered a Jew, that if he marries someone, he's still considered, it's considered good kedushin. Someone says, I want to be a chaver, I want to keep all my things pure. However, there's one thing that I'm not going to keep. There's one thing I'm not accepting. I'm accepting 99%. In Makabel, I say, I'm sorry, that's not how it works. You have to do the whole thing. A non-Jew, he wants to become Jewish. He says, I'm going to keep the whole Torah, chutz midavar echad, except there's one thing I'm not, I don't agree with. So, ein makabel, I say, you can't accept him. There's a discussion, I translated it, I don't agree with. There's a discussion in the Poskim if he says, I agree with it, it's just too hard for me. If that's also exactly the same. He says, I know that that's correct, it's just I have a failing.
Even if the one thing is Pesach?
You get to pick and choose.
Okay, so the rule is that ein makabel I say. Rabbi Yosef and Yehuda mafil diktik rachem midavrei seifrim. You hear this? Even if he says, even it's just a derabanan, small derabanan, and it says chumra derabanan. It sounds like it's not even this derabanan. It's just a chumra derabanan. We ask when they're converting if they're willing to accept all the Minhag Yisrael as well. You know, Deraisa is derabanan and Jewish custom.
Do you ask them which minhag
derabanan.
they're going to take? The Sephardi, Ashkenazi, the
Yeah, that
Kafkazi,
actually, that wouldn't affect anything that's halachically valid. Wouldn't.
I just
What
told him to take the
happens-
Sephardi, man. Don't take the Ashkenazi.
Our Gemara,
So much easier.
I don't know. Our Gemara didn't tell us what happens if he says chutz midavar echad. What happens b'di'evet? Our Gemara only told us l'chatchila in makabel I say. What happens b'di'evet if he accepted everything except for one thing, and they did a gerus, and then you find out afterwards he was never keeping one thing? Is it batal? Is the whole thing, or is it only a din l'chatchila? So it's a machlekes in the Poskim. No one wants to be in that situation, though. That there's a machlekes about your status. V'chein ben Levi shebala kabel divrei Levia. A ben Levi that wants to accept on himself the Levia, to be a Levi. What does that mean? He wants to go to the Bais Hamikdash and do the work. So v'kayin shebala kabel divrei Kuna. A kayin also, he comes, he says, I want to be part of the clan that functions in the Bais Hamikdash. Chutz midavar echad. I don't want to do one thing. I don't agree with one thing. I don't agree with something that goes on here. So ein makabel ma'aseh shnemar, you can't accept them. Hamakav dam shlamim, the one that brings the blood of the shlamim. Havayda masur lefnei Aaron, the service that's given over to the sons of Aaron. Kol kayin she'eino moedeba, any kayin that doesn't agree with it. So ein lechelek b'kahuna, doesn't have a portion in this. Okay, I'll have to stop. Oh no, I can go. Can I go a little further?
Yeah.
Okay. Tana Rabbanan, habal kabel divrei chaveris. Someone that wants to accept on himself to keep his grain, his produce pure. He wants to be a chaver. If we see that he's keeping it in his house, how do
you see?
You go to the house and you see he has two separate containers. You see that he's putting things in the mikveh. You see he's working on this. Maybe he doesn't know all the halachas, but you see he's trying to do this. So right away you accept him. And then you teach him. V'im lav, but if you don't see that he's keeping it, then then first you teach him. And then after you teach him, then you can accept him. No, if he says he wants to, accept him, and then you'll teach him, and then you'll teach him, and he'll continue. Today, when this doesn't have to do with the ger, but today with the ger we first teach him and then we accept him. Rabbi Kiveger didn't hold that. Rabbi Kiveger in the Chuvas writes that a guy is not allowed to learn Torah. You're not allowed to teach him before he becomes a ger, and so therefore, if someone shows up and says wants to convert, the first thing you do is convert him. You can't teach him anything until he converts.
Unbelievable.
And he brings a raya from the story with Hillel.
He converted him on 1 foot.
He converted him right away, and then he started to teach him. Now,
Really, that's it? He converted him?
yeah, then he started to teach him.
Wow.
So what do we say today? We say that Hillel was able to judge character. We can't judge character. So we have to first see that it's...
Serious business.
Wow.
Yeah, let's leave it over here.
Tomorrow we learn about chicken wings.
I'm sorry?
We learn about buffalo wings, chicken wings.
Is that what it is?
No, it's the hands and then
Yeah.
that's what's
I don't know why it has to do with why it uses that word. It's like
It
a
says
funny
that you
word.
lift your hands.
Oh, that's...
So you the
But Kanafayim has to do with, like, wings. Is
right.
that...
So when you lift your hands, it looks like wings.
Oh.